Okay, and the magic machine tells me that I am live. And perchance, fortunately, there's no one in the live chat to let me know that my audio or my video is working fine. But we're just going to take that as an okay, and we're going to accept that. And for various reasons, it's okay that the live chat is not pumping because I could. It's okay if I don't get distracted, and I want to stay focused, and I'm not looking to divert the discussion from anything other than what we're talking about tonight, which is the continued experiment with the Troika cut up. So, for those who are not familiar, the William S. Burroughs cut up technique, whether you approach it from a purely aleatoric, experimental art process, creative writing process, or whether you embrace, we say hello to Rugged Source first in the live chat, gold medal onto the Rugged Source, or whether, as William S. Burroughs and his contemporary experimenter, compatriot Brian Geeson, uh, uh, at the time, who experimented with cut ups, thought that they actually had a mystical portent of these cut ups, the process of arbitrarily cutting into the written word and rearranging the written word, you know, chaotically, to create new word combinations, unexpected word combinations, uh, would reveal possibly the future. William Burroughs believed that the cut up technique was an actual process, or it could be a process of divination. Make of that what you will. We certainly, on my main channel and on this channel to a lesser extent, have experimented with the cut up techniques. I've experimented with the cut up techniques at various points in my life, both as a mystical, esoteric technique, as well as just an experimental art technique to prompt new movements, either in audio works, compositions, music, or the written word. And look, when it comes to these experimental movements and these experimental procedures, results may vary. Whether it's William S. Burroughs and his works like The Ticket That Exploded, or Nova Express, or Naked Lunch, or whether it's the work of E. E. Cummings, or whether it's David Bowie and his album like Outside versus an album like Let's Dance. Um, when artists go into these experimental procedures, you get different results. And, some people say, look, experimental art produces bad experiments. There's a reason why this stuff is not, you know, on the top of the charts, and that is that this stuff is not good. So we have, in our community, in this world of tabletop role playing games, we have Troika. And the people behind Troika, the Nelsonian Art Institute. Oh, I don't have my book bag with me, so I don't have my supplies with me. Um, have made the system, the source reference document, available online, to their credit, so that people can easily make third party material available for it, and work with it, and etc. So I this idea, we've been playing with Troika, we've been experimenting with Troika. Troika is takes basically its core rule sets and mechanics come from the Fighting Fantasy game books, created by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingston, um, and I think to a lesser extent the adaptation of those rules into later role playing game, you know, flourishments in later, Fighting Fantasy series. Um, and we've talked about this when we talk about, the OSR and the open game license, with Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Mechanics game mechanics can't be copywritten. The Eye of the Beholder can be copywritten. Drizzt Drizorgel, whatever the person's proper name, can be copywritten. But barbarian, the concept of a fighting barbarian can't be written. The concept of a role-playing game where a fighting barbarian fights through a sequence of dungeons to obtain loot and experience to level up, those core mechanics can't be copywritten. Anyone can make a game that involves those things, and that's why you have things like people being able to take these core rules and basically make clones of things like Dungeons and Dragons over and over again. And that's just always been and only been made easier by the open game license and the open system reference document that was put out by Wizards of the Coast in 2000. And when we talk about things like the nostalgia loop that I'm always harping on about, I talk about things like the revolution with things like games like Troika or Stars Without Number or Morkborg, and this whole open licensing kind of arrangement that is the new norm. Dungeon Crawl Classics embraces this, certainly, this mindset, which basically says, the game developers basically say to the world and to the communities, here's the core mechanics, here's the game system, here's the system reference document, have at it. Just know that, you can't say that you're us. You can't say that you're official. You could just say that you're compatible, and you got to say that it's compatible with this, and you got to say that the proper this is the proper this, and you got to, color between the lines, and people let you know what their individuals' rules are, and Troika lets you know what the Melsonian Arts Institute lets you know what the rules of the road are for them. And we went over this. We went over the system reference document, whatever it is, the source reference document, whatever the proper language is. Anyway, coming full circle, coming around, we were talking about this in our ongoing experiments with taking Troika characters and running them through fighting fantasy game books, because the mechanics are so the same. I said, I thought to myself, gee, I had this bright idea of, hey, what happens if we cut up? Because we have these brilliant online cut up generators that can take these texts. You take a paragraph of text, throw it into the HTML online cut up generator, and it cuts up the text right for you. Tell it how many words you want to cut up between and randomly roll for the parameters, whatever. And we've been having our fun. And we want to see if this would yield viable results. Now, when working with cut ups and cut up text, there's different ways that you can approach it. You can have what's known as a black box approach, whether working in experimental composition with music or whether working with William S. Burroughs cut-ups. You can just take the output as the output. Black box technique basically says if you're working with an aleatoric or experimental music technique, or whether it's in digital composition or experimental composition, whatever the process yields, you take. If the rules of your compositional method said I was going to take, a digital photograph of autumn leaves, and we were going to take the plot points of root squares and right angles, and that was going to be the deterministic plot grid of frequency points of whatever, if that was going to be the rules of the composition, then whatever that yielded, then that's what the composer takes. If he or she was using this strict black box technique, whatever the rules set of going into the black box, that's what you take out. And if it sounds like shit, then bad composition, and you change it. And when you're doing your PhD dissertation for the MIT digital composition music class that you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on for no fucking reasons, because there's nothing to do with that degree except work at MIT in the composition department to make the next asshole get their PhD in this music that no one will listen to. Not no one, someone. It's like the Sith, like the next PhD candidate for music composition. There's a guy and one gal Used to be a guy. I'm kidding. I tease because I love. I confirm Chaser. So it is. You can hate me if you want to, but I'll be in the tombs with the rest of the dates. So fuck you. Dude, that's how I got there. So fuck it. Whatever, you know what I mean? You get there sooner or later. I'm kidding. I'm joking around, for fuck's sake. Not that it'll save me from the algorithm, because the algorithm's got a great sense of humor. Great sense of humor is Elon Musk. Another thing I was correct about. Anywho, yada. So we wanted to cut up the Troika SRD. And so anyway, going back, the black box technique, if you take the cut ups and you take them pure, you're going to end up with word salad. And it is what it is. Or you can work with it and massage it. So we knew that I was going to take the approach of whatever we were going to take, we were going to work with the massage, and we were going to try and do. And what I was going to basically, the project that I laid out for me and for us to enjoy together was slowly but surely taking the Troika SRD paragraph by paragraph, putting it through these online cut up generators, taking the output, working the output until it sounded like something resembling articulate English speech or whatever, and hopefully looked like a viable rule set and could be a role-playing game. And so we would have a role-playing game. And the question was we know that if we put literature or words or an article, Wikipedia article, into a cut-up generator, we get word salad. The question was, would we get, if we put a rule set into the cut-up generator, would we get anything? So we did experiments with the first couple of paragraphs, which were just the intro paragraphs of the thing. It was just, the intro to Troika. It wasn't any sort of rule set. So we just basically got some stuff and massaged it a little, and we got the stuff that we usually get when we do these cut-up experiments. But here's what I'm here to tell you today, and here's what we're going to look at. I crossed the Rubicon. The big question was whether or not, when we put the big character generation rule, and the first thing I said was, when we first started going down this experiment, is I said, folks, what I think is going to happen is I'm just going to have to put the rule in, then we'll put the garbage, whatever garbage cut up is produced, we'll put that in next to be experimental art, and we'll just have the rule in there, so we'll have something that makes sense in there as well. I didn't have to do that. I took the rule set, the character generation rule set, I put it into the cut up generator, I rolled the 6-sided die to figure out how many words we were going to set for the cut up interval, whether or not we were going to have the echo effect for the cut up generator on or not. We didn't, whatever, and we did it. And I got my output, and the output worked a little bit. It was weird, but I worked it enough to where we got something. And so all I'm going to do to you today is we're going to go through the document again. We're just going to go through it, repeating some stuff because we already looked at some of the stuff today already. And then we'll get to the really interesting stuff, which was the character generation part. And I'll show you what we produced. And I'll show you that we produced this cut up technique. And then, especially with me massaging it, we produced viable character generation technique that's compatible with Troika and compatible with the rules of Final Fantasy to a degree. I mean, I'll show you. And so the thing is, I'm here to tell you, great day to be me. I'm about to, in legal terms, the term publication has a variety of meanings. But in the strictest meaning, if we're talking about like liability, like for like libel, publication means like if I even say like a lie to like about someone to rugged source. If I said like that guy, think of a name, Corey. No, that would be bad. David. You know that guy, David? You know his friend? David's friend is a no good, worthless, scumdog piece of garbage. I mean, this guy is the kind of guy that would lick your ass all day long and then look at you with a quizzical, confused look on his face like, what? You're not happy? I didn't lick your ass good enough? And you're looking at him like, fuck you fucking dumb shit. You can't even eat an ass. That's how big a schmuck you are. You know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes my examples they go south. Come to Jersey, you can find me. That's where I hang out. You know what I mean? That's why I've been telling this asshole to find me all day. He's good. Oh, I'm gonna come down to Jersey and fucking this ain't over. Go come down to Jersey. That's why I've been telling you to fucking find me since day fucking one. Meanwhile, shit fuck, you, you just admitted on your fucking deposition that all the fucking financial problems were not caused by me, but were caused by some other jabroni after the case. So that's fine. You will come after me in New Jersey. That's where I hang out. That's where I was telling you to come party with me. Meanwhile, you're gonna have to find a lawyer in New Jersey, because the reason you're in where you're doing what you're doing to me and wherever you're at is because your gal couldn't just hang out in New Jersey, because to actually be in New Jersey, you got to be an attorney in New Jersey. So that's why you're rocking and rolling out in the place where you're at, because they just let whoever do whatever they do. That's why you're at wherever you're at. So you're gonna come up with. I got distracted. Anyway, sorry. Damn it. Fuck me. I got distracted by myself. Shit, fuck. I'm such an idiot. Tim Frey bringing it back home. Orcs is an old Saxon term for invader or some such. Yo, I orked myself. I could have had a V8. Yo, man, I could have had a fucking goblinkin or some shit, man. Fucking straight up orked. Man, orc from man, I could dirty all by myself and proving it yet again. Straight up. Straight up. Man. Anywho, inside me. Inside you. Swear it's peace within. Anyway, where was I? Yo, Troika. We did this shit and it produced viable friggin' results. We produced viable results. So you'll see what I've been doing. I went over things a couple of times. We did the first background, and that's it. So I don't have a ton of stuff to share with you. I really don't. But I can share with you what I have. If I had shared with you what I had 3 minutes ago, I would have done so without kind of having gone off. But, the perfect's the enemy of the good. Spontaneous utterances. Yo, and I could say more, but I'm not going to. But other than to say this, yo, my bro, you just lied again, because you just said, oh, you're gonna go after this. That's not what you said. Well, I'm not gonna say anything, but that's incredible. My life, whatever, dude. Anywho, I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, where have I been? I've been, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm just like, my only thing is like to remind myself, like, don't be there when the crazy guy's life actually totally unravels. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to remind myself to just move the fuck on. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to be like, we are just trying to cut up Troika. So let me do this. Let me move on with my life and cut up Troika for you. So I'll show you what I got. Nope. Okay. So hopefully I'm sharing. So hopefully you see what I'm doing. Hopefully you guys see. Okay, there you go. Okay, here we go. So I've changed the name. So I've changed the name to Close. Close, a sibling of Troika via cut up. Terms. Declaring compatibility with what's called close without express written permission from the anyone may result in nothing at all occurring. Then again, someone may publish free or commercial material based upon it. It is not for us to say that you must state the following in your product, but we are certainly suggesting it strongly here when we state that if your product does declare compatibility with close, your product, the mechanics, concepts, and responsibility for any legal claims against the text of close may not the product, core mechanics, key concepts, and any legal text of close become. They may or may not be found taking with us a third in concert, or perchance know of close. Though it may be reused freely, be used verbatim? No. All artists maintain their point on the star map. Product name is not affiliated with the legal text and or any websites from product name, and or product name is an independent production by publisher, name to be supplied, and or unknown, and or close itself. So yeah, sue in court, Yacht Monkey. Now here's where we got the persona construct generation. So this is what I'll show you what the cut up generator gave us. And then I'll show you what I edited it down to. And you'll see that it gave us something that I think it could have been viable itself. It was really only missing one stat. It didn't have a stamina. It didn't have like a skill stat. Here we go. Rucksack, 6 provisions. Roll D6 plus 6 stamina. Now, normally in Troika and in Fighting Fantasy, stamina is I think it's 2d6 plus 12. So we'd be like rolling in at like half stamina. And then we go roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine on the background table and record 2d6 silver pence, a knife, a skill, a knife, a skill. Now, check this out. So when it goes this, roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine on the background table. So if we go through and do the cut up techniques for all the things, at first I thought to myself, well, this is crazy because our rule set will have like locked backgrounds. Because if we roll 1d6 plus 6 on the background table, that means that by definition, because if we're adding plus 6 on all initial rolls on the background tables, that means that by definition, whatever backgrounds were on, slots 1 through 7 would never be hit. Or 1 through 6 would never be hit because you'd always be adding 6 to them. Because even if you got a 1, you'd add a 6 and automatically get a 7. But the first thing that we cut up with Troika, it doesn't even start on a 1. It starts on 11 because they roll on a D66 table for their backgrounds. So it gets a little fricazy. So you'll see it gets a little weird. But we would technically have a locked background because the first background we roll for is the chord giant. So he's at 11. So I guess it worked out fine. But at first we would potentially, if we started at 1, we would potentially be generating locked backgrounds, which I'm not opposed to. I'm not opposed to generating a rule set that has redundancies. We're doing art here. I think we need to acknowledge that this new paradigm with Troika and Morkborg, these rule sets don't need to be streamlined. The methodology, the objective measure of the game is no longer rules clarity. The games are now allowed to present as pure art. I mean, I think as long as it's not nonsense at the end, as long as it works, it works. And it would work even if it presented as having backgrounds on it that you couldn't access by the rules of the game. It would just be an aspect of the art. This rule set contains backgrounds that technically if you play the rules as given, you don't ever play because, well, the rules of character generation say that you roll on 1d6 plus 6 on the background table, and therefore you never see backgrounds 1 through 6. Even though, as I said, at this particular point, because we're cutting up Troika and it starts with the first character starts on 11, we don't actually run into that. But we could take it out and make it a 1, but whatever. I mean, we'll see. Moving on, run 1d6 that says record 2d6 silver, pence, a knife, a skill, a knife, a skill. So then we have multiple knives. So then all of a sudden you see that by running the rule set through the cut up, just like an artist or an author may be using the cut up technique to spur new thoughts or new ideas, we can have new thoughts or ideas spurred about our next steps with the rule set. Because Troika in and of itself doesn't have multiple knives. I mean, it could, but it doesn't necessarily in and of itself have multiple like knives. So already I knew that I said, well, it's presenting ourselves with a situation where it's like calling for us to all of a sudden generate a knife table. And then if we move on, it had this, it says roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine luck. That is a luck stat that is huge compared to Troika or compared to Fighting Fantasy. So already when we were talking about compatibility to these other systems, we're compatible, but I knew we'd already have to put in something regarding compatibility because we're already starting to stretch compatibility. But then we're already starting to generate a different game, utilizing the same systems and rule sets, utilizing the same methodologies, but a different game. Record baselines, possessions, that overview. Roll 1d3 plus 3 to determine lantern and flask of oil. Every new character starts with 5. Character starts with 5. That started to imply that every character starts with roll 1d3 plus 3 to determine lantern and flask of oil. That all of a sudden implied that there would be a table of different lanterns that are all of a sudden, it's like this cut up is now pointing us to a mechanic to be created. Oh, by the way, heads up, this is now cueing you into the fact that whether you're going to be bifurcating the spell lists and making some of those spells lanterns of variety or whatever, you're going to make some of these backgrounds lanterns. It's telling you that there's a variety of lanterns. It's implying that there's a variety of lanterns, at least at this juncture. You're going to see that I added and changed, but you're going to see at this juncture, there was a crossroads here where we were all of a sudden having a new mechanic suggestion where all of a sudden this world had lantern variety. Every new character starts with 5, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, that would seem that you would roll to determine what type of lantern you get. Like, I've got a healing lantern. What kind of lantern did you get? Oh, I got the lightning lantern. It shoots lightning. What did you get? I got the ass licking lantern. There's a lot of ass licking. You notice that? There's something wrong with my oil. It's not going in my lamp right. What? The oil. It's not draining in right. Look. Around the edge. See? Not going in right. See? It's like a blockage or something. Get in there. Suck it. Drop the rock. Listen. Stop floating. Fuck you. So, but I edited. X edit generation. Edit. Here's what I came up with. Roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine luck. We're still with this monumental, huge, gosh, luck. But that, remember, our stamina blows. And so far, we didn't have any skill stat. We were recording skills, but we didn't have a skill stat. That would be problematic. So we had things to edit. So I took what we had here and I turned it into roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine luck. Roll d6 plus 6 for stamina. So we have huge luck compared to Fighting Fantasy or Troika, low stamina compared to Troika or Fighting Fantasy. So we're compatible because we're built on the same framework, but we're different. Every new character starts with 5 in the stat of skill. So you see what I did with that 5 there. You see how I added it to make it workable. Roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine on the background table and record 2d6 silver pence, a knife, another skill, any, meaning that you would look to, because the skills come from the backgrounds. So I'm taking this skill reference. I'm saying you're telling the person that you roll on the background table and then you roll 2d6 for your silver pence. Then you're going to select a knife. We're going to have a knife, different types of knives, apparently. Then you're going to pick skills from other people's backgrounds. You're going to get another knife from wherever, and then you're going to get another skill. Then you have your rucksack or a container of anything, like a strap-on container of any variety, your 6 provisions. Roll 1d3 plus 3 to determine lantern or flask of oil. We still got the multiple lanterns. We're going to have to do something with that. Record baseline possessions and overview. Now, here's where I have to do this. Now, look what I did here. And this is what's making it like an actual fucking rule set. Look at this. It makes it look professional here. Note, to maintain strict canonical compatibility with Troika, the luck stat above must be capped at 12 when in those environs. 1d6 plus 6 to determine. Also, close PCs, that's player characters, stamina stat is lower as well, rather than 2d6 plus 12 to determine. I might put in stuff there regarding Fighting Fantasy there. So you see there, I'm letting you know there what you need to do to be compatible, to be purely canonically compatible. I'm letting you know that your stamina, you're going to be coming in low. We're going to look handicapped when we're hanging out in Troika. And then also, if we want to be street legal in Troika, when we go there, we have to cap our luck at 12. And it's going to be an automatic cap at 12, because if we're rolling 2d6 plus 12 to determine luck, we're automatically always going to be above the default max of 12. So we're always going to be showing up at Troika Land at max luck because we rock. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Backgrounds. The sphere. Okay. So the next things you're going to see are the first background and the first background text, which was the intro to the background section that's now been cut up and edited. Then a section on creating your own backgrounds that's been cut up and edited. And then the first background for the Corda, the Giant of Corda, that's been cut up and edited. So you're going to now see the next 3 sections that appear in the Troika SRD, backgrounds, creating your own backgrounds in the Corda Giant, that have been edited by me. So I'll go through those 3 things and then I'll read the whole thing in its entirety, and you'll see that we already are beginning to write a Troika-esque experimental RPG using the William S. Burroughs kind of cut-up technique. And I'll go to over here to you guys to see if there's anyone here with me. And we got Prag Magic joining us. We say hello to Prag Magic. I'll just remind people that we got Tim Frey. You were second in the live chat, so we got a silver medal onto thee. And Prag Magic. Oh, Tim Frey had the silver medal, and Prag Magic, you get the bronze. And giving us the early 90s B-Boy project name, C-Dubs and the Cut Crew. I like it. I like it. There you go. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Where did they get a load of me? Okay, so backgrounds. So this is the SRD of Troika that's been cut up, and then the cut up literature has been edited by me to make it sound more normal. Backgrounds. The spheres are up to boldly lay claim to you with skill, and to determine your entirety and replace in. Rework them in turn, with everything your character has. Make it your touch. The edge got hold of its own. Roll randomly amongst the possessions and tailor your worlds you play to unique vision. Only the role and backgrounds are of no real intended specificity. Notice noted. Slide into them with your remove. Special benefits? Wear them. They provide write-in content recklessly and was before you to the games. Creating your own backgrounds. Fun and flavorful. After making the player's window into the information, dismiss the importance by them. Keep them receiving it instead. Balance the enjoyment rather equal to 1 to 10 or so total. When they are 3, being someone who has 1 to 3 with short and evocative players, a new background take will fill in the gaps. The backgrounds need not be, as a general rule, simple. Pack as much world, but don't feel your particular and ever-changing moment needs consider the reaction already mastered. Do, when creating your own backgrounds, point, distribute, and arrange with a description. They are of some other entry. And then finally, our first real background, which would be number 11, Chord Giant. Cheer, Search Giant. You have a means to find how they interpreted the 11. Ardent Giant should drink, but oh, we'll tell it soon enough. Every different story about tears and laughter, lost and once again found. Here are your possessions as the Chord Giant. 1, weather. You possess weather. Kiss my ass, Troika. If that is not more Troika than Troika to list one of the possessions as fucking weather, you can kiss my ass. And then the next thing is 5 enormous blue lorgnettes. I think those are like opera glasses, I think. Granting accuracy or a pocket barometer of the last chord, which can star map any successful astrology. Okay, now granted, at some point we're going to, I guess, have to define these things. Or will we? What I really want to do is kick out the jams, motherfucker. We want to get this thing done. Because when this thing is done, your boy will have produced an RPG. An RPG that will be subject to criticism. Look, you produced an RPG, you produced it through this cut-up technique based on Troika. Look, is it its own thing? Is it just Troika remixed? We can recognize it as Troika. It's just Troika. Whatever. It'll be something. I'll be a damn sight closer to being an RPG writer after I do this experiment than I will have been before it. And I talked about that thing, publication and publishing libel. If I say a lie about another person, even to one other person, I've published that lie. I've published that libel. Folks, I've published character generation rule set for a role-playing game. Because I told you about it. You know, if you comment in the comment section below, you're a content creator on the internet. You might not think of yourself as being Big Shake's content creator in light of, people making the YouTube video on YouTube that above your comment, but you are a content creator. You're producing words and data that can be observed by another individual, that can produce a response by another individual. If you write F you, if you write terrible things about a given ethnic group, and you put it in the comment section, you write horrible things about women in the comment section in the live chat, and somebody reads that, that can make them feel all sorts of ways. You can make them feel something, like an artist, like a bad artist, like a negative artist, but you'll make them feel something because you're a content creator. You produced the content on the internet that produced that reaction, that experience in that other individual. It may boil out and boil down with all the other interactions and all the other experiences and all the other comments and things that are being made and happening, but it doesn't change the fact that your impact, that your statement, that your activity occurred. And likewise, it doesn't change the fact that I'm telling you this is that, this is persona construct generation. This works. Even before I edited it, it worked. And now that I edit it, this works. This is roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine luck. You can do that. Roll d6 plus 6 to get your stamina. Every new character starts with 5 in the status skill. Roll 2d6 plus 6 to determine on the background table and record 2d6 silver. Even before we're done with our rule set, you could just refer back to Troika. Roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine on the background table. You're not even rolling a d66, so we could figure out how many friggin' of the backgrounds you could actually get at this point. We could figure out how many backgrounds you could actually get at this point, and we could laser in and just cut up those ones first. Cover our ass. Roll ID3 plus 3 to determine lantern. We're not there yet, so it's kind of incomplete. We're hanging out there. But hanging out there incomplete is still hanging out there. Look, it's been said before, but perchance it bears repeating now at this moment. Cliches come up, and the various cliches are true at various moments, at various points in time. And perchance this one is true now. We're not here for a long time, so we might as well be here for a good time. I got no enemies. I have no desire to have any enemies. All I'm looking forward to in 2023 is trying to spend more time with my friends and my family, my loved ones. Okay? Have more fun doing the things I love doing. Finish this, finish more games. I want to pimp. Open D6 because it's available to pimp. We say hello to the elephant in the room. And I want to get down with the master plans. And get close to the center of the cyclone. I'm going to ride the wave. We'll get close to the edge without falling off. Hold on to my belt buckle. Not always the greatest judge edges. Some people I know. From the Osho Zen Tarot. Because why not? From calendar year 1994. Seven of Clouds. An analog for the Seven of Swords. Seven of Air. Here denoted as politics. Playing the game. Even when you play the game. Even when you play the game successfully. Meaning, you get away with it. People know what you're doing. they just can't get you on it because what you're doing is just part of, right, the life. Don't blame me, lady. I'm just a snake, right? What do you want from me? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Haters gonna hate. That's what they're here for, right? How are you gonna make any sense out of love without, you know what I mean, without the opposite? Thank God for the dark, for we can see the light of the stars. The politician plays his game perfectly well with his masks, but everyone sees what's going down. Everyone knows that we're all being deceived. And in that sense, no deception is happening at all. The resources go missing. They're not there for the kids to eat. So even if no one knows that you did it, you don't get away with it because the kids don't eat. The crime happens. Somebody knows something is rotten. They probably know it was you. Because you're the politician. You know what I mean? The kind of like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But the learned amongst them will know, hey, there's a 6 and there's an 8. And the 8 has got to hold up the 9. And 4 is going to have a hell of a time if 5 and 6 start buckling under. Everyone has their part to play. Everyone slots in, even if the part that they're playing is not a part that we particularly want to see, right? You got yourself a brand new $1 million gorgeous someone. Oh, baby. How did you end up with this fantastic, fabulous, wonderful piece of your floating boat? Whatever floats your boat, imagine, if you will, the floater. And imagine, if you will, that you're not the sort of person that's into shit play. There's some people that are into cockophilia. They're into doo doo. The doo doo that you do so well. They turn to their lover and they say, "Nothing would make me happier than, you know what I mean." But putting aside those individuals and saying, not saying that there's anything wrong with it, though I'm not for me to judge the health. Anywho, for simplicity's sake, I am just trying to narrow our field of consideration to those individuals who don't independently have their own reason to be like, well, I find nothing about this example. Look, the point is this. Where I'm going with this is this. You might have someone that you find incredibly attractive and beautiful and wonderful. You might not necessarily want to visualize that person having the craziest Hershey squirts post, Espelanda on, Taco Bell Tuesday. You know what I mean? You just don't want to visualize just, the opening and the closing of the the moment of truth. You just don't want the sputtering and the wet discharge. You just don't want to know. You know what happens. You wouldn't want to say, "Oh man, wouldn't it be great if this person's anus were to just disappear?" Because it could happen, right? There could be a medical condition or something. You can wake up with a Barbie doll if you want to, with its own set of like plastic bag problems and other situations that you may not necessarily want to sign up for. But normatively, if your lady and or choice of significant other comes with a place to go number two, you'd prefer that they do so normatively, regularly, but not necessarily in your presence, and not necessarily with like knowing how it goes down, right? You don't necessarily want to know how the sausage is made, but you wouldn't necessarily want to live in a world without sausage. Is what I'm trying to say. Rugged Sources says there's so much hidden symbols in this video, my mind is blown. It's got the juice. Listen, Shadow Zone Productions, we say hello to you. Oof. Now here's talk about cut-ups. I may be partaking of the jazz cigarette. What if it's A1 sauce? Well, you're going to have a hard time lighting it. Number one, hold on, watch this. I may be partaking of the jazz cigarette. What if it's A1 sauce? Well, if it's A1 sauce and you may be partaking of the jazz cigarette, if you're not partaking of the jazz cigarette, you're partaking or have partaken in something fucking fan-fucking-tastic, right? Is this a jazz cigarette or A1 sauce? When you're at that level of that, first of all, honey, sit down. First things first. Fundamentals. Are we in a safe space? Just a minute. I'll let Tron talk him down. Samantha, where are you right now? Oh, you took some orange sunshine right now. You're going to be up for a couple hours. Here we go. Or Tabasco. Anyway. What did you think? Did you think that the Troika cut-ups worked? I think that it's working famously. I gotta tell you. So I may be delusional. This is entirely possible. Q, that's what she said. Shadows on Production says, I came in at a time you said something about sauce and I didn't have the prior context, so I was confused. Here we go. Dip your cigs in A1 sauce and let the BBQ sherm rip. Let's listen. We got to be very careful. Kids, don't try that at home. That don't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Listen. And don't smoke banana peels. Take it from Uncle Chanter, kids. Don't smoke banana peels. Hey, kids, remember, if smoking banana peels worked, we'd all be doing it, right? We'd all be doing it. Don't smoke banana peels. Don't smoke bed bugs. You could listen, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should, right? Yeah, it's like huffing your own urine and feces to get high. You know? You have your whole life to get into AA. Do you know what I mean? Pace yourself. Pace yourself, kid. Slow down. Oh, slow down, kid. You gotta chop wood before you build a fire. Okay, yeah, I'm out of here. Whatever. Anyway, I love you. If nobody told they loved you today, somebody just did that. Somebody, C.W. Charecter, aka Cable Guy Incognito. I can't even keep my own name straight. Listen, folks, one day, the listen. Here's Pride Magic. Because I'm new to micro RPGs, I've been digging transposing the cut-up rules into daily situation struggles. That's one way to do it. Life is an RPG. Life is a cut-up RPG. Try to survive. There you go. Absolutely. There you go. Shadow Zone Productions says this Miles Davis cigarette goes out to you, CW. Nice, interesting. My mom has a Miles Davis story. Here's the Miles Davis story according to my mom. True or false? Who knows? It's the Micros RPG Corvus Hermectum. I love it. Okay, so here's my mom. My mom claims to have shot down Miles Davis, basically. So the story goes like this. It's 1967, 68, Buffalo, New York. She goes to SUNY Buffalo. Went to SUNY Buffalo. And Miles Davis is playing. My mom at the time, I'm not going to lie. My mom at the time you should see old photos of my mom. My mom was hot. She was. And so the story goes that she's walking past Miles Davis, right? And he's sitting there and he's playing the trumpet. He's sitting there and he's playing the trumpet. And she goes to walk past him. And she goes, and as she walks past him, he kicks up his feet like this, and blocks her so she can't go past him. Her story is she picks up his feet and flings them off and keeps on walking, knowing full well that it's Miles fucking Davis. And she's basically like, fuck you, Miles Davis. I'm a fucking Miles Davis. Fuck you. Old ass, whatever. That's the story. That's my mom's story. She's like, whatever, Miles Davis, whatever. Put your legs up in front of me. That's the story. Meanwhile, she's a huge Miles Davis fan. Every time she tells me the story, I'm always like, what the fuck what are you doing? I don't know what the fuck you were doing. But my mom's not the type. She's not going home with Miles Davis. She's not going home with Miles Davis. She's not going home with Miles Davis. That was not his dad. Miles Davis is dead, but she wasn't going home with Miles Davis then. She wasn't going with Miles Davis. And then people were like, oh, your mom fucked Miles Davis. Then she's fucked. Then I'm like, you don't know my mom. She's like, honestly, I'm the type of guy, like, if my mom fucked Miles Davis, I'd be like, my mom fucked Miles Davis. Or if she was the type of person to fuck Miles Davis, I'd be like, Mom, I know you. You fucked Miles Davis. But she's not, or she'd probably be like, I fuck Miles Davis. But honestly, not. She's not. She's the type of person to be like, nah, she didn't even get it. She'd be like, whatever, Miles Davis. And she has another story about basically a similar story about basically being fuck you to Geraldo Rivera. My mom is big on stories where she tells basically celebrities who fucking like tried to get with her to basically fuck off. Like that's her big thing. She's got two of them. It's fucking Miles Davis and Geraldo Rivera. And the Miles Davis is back in the day, because that was like 68, 67. So when her doing that was like a big shit deal, because she would have been like she would have been like a 20-something-year-old like gal, and he would have been like Miles fucking Davis. So it would have been like, it was a whole different fucking like paradigm, right? And she tells the story like she pushed his leg. She pushed his fucking leg. She was like, I see what you're doing now. It wasn't like, oh, excuse me. It was, uh-huh. Oh, excuse me. Fuck you. So that was like early onset Gloria Steinem. That was like, got the memo early. God bless her. And the Geraldo's a funny thing. The Geraldo's a different story, but whatever. Anyway, we're here too long. Been in an hour now telling stories about my mother. I don't want to end up on some sort of dossier. Anyway, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming by and joining the shenanigans in the RPG channel. What we got to do? I got to do the call to action. Remind you guys, like, comment, and subscribe if you like the RPG content. We'll keep on doing this cut up stuff. We'll do all the stuff that we do. We'll just keep on circling around. Guys, I guess what's happened is I guess I'm producing RPG content that is a little bit different than traditional RPG content. I guess that's a good thing. We're going to be doing stuff that's not just product reviews, not just take a look at this book, talking. It'll be good. We're having fun. Okay. Life, love, life and love, and life continues. Keep on rocking. Keep on rolling. Read a spiritual text every day. If it behooves you to do so, if you think it's good advice to do so, chant every day. If that advice moves you to be advice to move you to do. I just think that it's good. It works for me. It might work for you. I remain your ever well wisher. Just saying to you, chant, read a spiritual text. Ain't going to hurt you. It can only help. Okay? I love you. I love you. I love you. Nobody told you they loved you today. Somebody just did. That somebody is moi. And I'll talk to you at the next one. Okay? Till then.